Hey YouTube, this is PrimetimePokemon. In this video, I'll be reviewing and giving away the Plasma Claw Plasma Storm Pokemon theme deck. In order to win this giveaway, you have to do the following things. You have to subscribe to my YouTube channel, PrimetimePokemon. You have to like this video, and then you have to follow me on my blog. Once you've done those three things, comment in the comment section of this video with your follower name from my blog. Only one entry per person, and for complete rules to entry, just see the video description of this video. So I'll be giving away this Plasma Claw theme deck. This theme deck was purchased from Target for $11.99, and the reason that it's already opened is because I've went through the cards in the deck and organized them so that I can review them a little bit easier. So Plasma Storm is the second theme deck that I'll be reviewing from Plasma Storm. The other theme deck was called Plasma Shadow, and that theme deck was a Psychic and Grass type theme deck, and it was based around Giratina. This deck is a Fire, Water, and Dragon type deck, and it is based around Druddigon. So I'll read the description on the back of the box, then I will go through all of the cards and review it, and then at the end I'll lay out the rules again for entry for this contest, and then you can definitely go ahead and enter. So it says the Plasma Claw theme deck. Lightning strikes and opponents feel the burn as the cave Pokemon Druddigon explodes into action with the ferocious Dragon Claw attack. Infernape's Malevolent Fire attack fans the flames of your foes' defeat, and there's no skin thick enough to cope with Sharpedo's rough skin ability. Once Jellicent drifts into range and its spiteful spirit ability takes hold, even opponents with the cloudiest of minds will know the truth. They can't claw their way back into the game when you play the Plasma Claw theme deck. And the winner of this theme deck will get everything shown on the left side of the deck box here. They'll receive the 60 Pokemon card deck, the coin, checklist, damage counters, deck box, the playmat, and then the code card. And here's a list of the cards in the deck. So I'll show the cards and show the contents inside the deck box. There's the code card right on the outside. That's all I'll show of it. I don't want to show the actual code on camera, so the person that does win this deck will be able to redeem the code online. So here's the playmat. Deck counters with poison marker and burn marker. This is a set checklist. Show the coin and then the deck box. Coin is the same coin as the Plasma Shadow theme deck, Team Plasma coin, blue in color. And then the deck box, I'll show all of the art on the deck box. I think they're pretty cool looking. So this one has Druddigon on, of course. There's the front. I'll just go all around it. Then on the bottom, the top. And unfortunately, when I opened this theme deck, this is a sealed theme deck from Target, one of the cards is bent. You can see that in the deck. And it's actually a Vanillite card. It was bent on the top. Very disappointing. So I'll go through each of the cards now, and on the way I'll provide some insights to what I would do with the deck and suggestions for removing or adding another card to the deck. So this deck starts off with its most powerful Pokemon, Druddigon. There are two Druddigon in the deck, Dragon type, as you can see way up here. As of now, there aren't any Dragon type energy cards, just Dragon type Pokemon. As you can see below, Druddigon only requires Fire and Water type energy cards, so that's why it's in this dual Fire and Water energy deck. Druddigon, basic Pokemon, a Team Plasma Pokemon, that's why the card border is blue. I personally don't like the blue borders, I just like the original gold or yellow. 110 HP for Druddigon, like I said, above average HP. Two moves. Guard Press, which does 20 damage for two colorless energy cards. And then during Druddigon's next turn, or during your opponent's next turn, after Druddigon uses Guard Press, any damage done to Druddigon is reduced by 20. And then Dragon Claw requires 4 energy cards, a mix of both fire and water, and it does 90 damage per turn. So if I was to use Druddigon, and if I was to use this deck that would be the Pokemon this deck's based around, I'd want to put Druddigon on the bench first and attach 4 energy cards, so when I move it into the active Pokemon spot, you can use Dragon Claw right away. The bad thing with this card is that it's a basic Pokemon. It only has 110 HP, which is high for basic Pokemon, but compared to a stage 2, it's extremely low. And with 4 energy cards required to use Dragon Claw, you definitely don't want to put this card in the active Pokemon spot before you have to. The good thing, though, if you end up doing that, is that it only requires 1 energy card to retreat it. So if you have to put it in the active Pokemon spot before it has 4 energy cards on it, it's really not that hard to retreat it back to your bench and not have to give up a ton of energy cards. So like I said, 2 Druddigons, and the second one here is the one that's in the little preview window of the deck box. You can see it has a holographic pattern to it. Next is a pretty good line of Pokemon, I think. I haven't looked at the cards, I just like the line in general. It is a 3-2-1 line of Chimchar, Monferno, and Infernape. Chimchar, below average HP, but for a starter Pokemon, it can do 20 damage for only 1 energy card. So a pretty decent starter type Pokemon. I'd try and put that out there at the beginning of the game when a basic Pokemon is required right away. You can't set it up on your bench, just have to put this one in there. Monferno, just like Chimchar, has below average HP, but both of its moves require little energy. Loud Howl makes your opponent switch to the defending Pokemon with one of his or her bench Pokemon. And then Fire Tail Slap does 50 damage for 2 energy cards. Unfortunately, you have to discard an energy card after using Fire Tail Slap. So Chimchar, average. Monferno, a little below average. So I'd either try and put Chimchar in the active Pokemon spot right away, or if you already have a Pokemon in the active Pokemon spot, put Chimchar on your bench, wait until you can evolve it into Monferno and then Infernape. Infernape is a Team Plasma card, 130 HP, so a little lower HP for stage 2, but decent enough. 2 moves, both little energy cards. Torment is its first move, and it requires 1 colorless energy card, and it does 30 damage. And it says to choose one of the defending Pokemon's attacks. That Pokemon can't use that attack during your opponent's next turn. And then Malevolent Fire uses 2 energy cards and does 120 damage. Unfortunately, you have to discard all energy attached to this Pokemon. So before I actually read the description of that move, I was thinking, put this card on your bench, put 4 or 5 energy cards on it, and then you only have to discard 2 energy cards. But since you have to discard all energy cards attached to this Pokemon, never put more than 2 energy cards on Infernape. Use Malevolent Fire, remove the 2 energy cards, put 1 energy card on it the next turn, use Torment, and then hopefully you'll disable your opponent's strongest move, and it won't be able to do much damage to Infernape. And then that next turn you'll be able to use Malevolent Fire. Definitely make sure you have enough fire energy cards in your deck if you plan on having Infernape be a mainstay in this deck. And this deck has 9 fire energy cards. I usually on average put about 20 energy cards in a deck, and this is a dual type deck, so they split it evenly in this deck, so it's pretty good. Next is a water type Pokemon. And there's a 2-1 line of Carvanha and Sharpedo. So in the description of the theme deck, it talked about both Infernape with its... Did it talk about Infernape? It talked about Druddigon's Dragon Claw attack, which did 90 damage. And then it'll talk about Sharpedo's Rough Skin ability, so we'll have to take a look at that. And Infernape's Malevolent Fire attack, they're also talking about. So Malevolent Fire does 120 damage, which is a great amount of damage. I should have talked more about that when I showed the card. Oh, I can show it again. Malevolent Fire, 120 damage. That'll be able to knock out almost all stage 1 and basic Pokemon in one turn, so definitely a great card to use. If you really like Infernape after using this deck for a bit, you could always put more of each of the Pokemon, a 4-3-2 line, or you could go 3-2-2 line of Chimchar, Monferno, and Infernape. So we'll take a look at Sharpedo's ability here once we show Carvanha. 60 HP, so an average HP for a basic water type Pokemon, and then one move called Bite. 20 damage for 2 energy cards, so not ideal to play right away, but not bad. You could always put it on your bench and attach a couple energy cards to it and move it into the active Pokemon spot if you need a basic Pokemon or any Pokemon to put into that spot. We'll take a look at Carvanha, or Sharpedo. There's 2 Carvanha, 1 Sharpedo. Has the ability that the back of the deck box is talking about, and then 1 move. 90 HP, so average HP. Rough Skin says, if this Pokemon's your active Pokemon and is damaged by an opponent's attack, put 2 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. So basically, Sharpedo's ability prevents your opponent from attacking you, because your opponent may end up knocking itself out if they attack with one of their Pokemon that has less than 30 damage left on it. Because if you attack Sharpedo, even if you knock Sharpedo out, I'm assuming, yep, right here it says even if this Pokemon is knocked out. So even if Sharpedo is knocked out, the defending Pokemon will still be knocked out if 20 damage will knock it out when it attacks Sharpedo. So, Rough Skin is very good. It prevents you from attacking. And then Druddigon, Guard Press, also prevents damage from Druddigon. So both Druddigon and Sharpedo are more defensive-minded Pokemon cards. So besides the ability, there's Hard Bite, which requires 2 energy cards and does 40 damage plus 20 more damage if you get a heads when you flip a coin. So a pretty good move there as well. So I definitely recommend using Sharpedo in the deck. I would consider putting 1 more Sharpedo in this deck as well, once I see a little weaker Pokemon. The Chimchar Monferno line is a little bit weak, but if you plan on using Infernape, you definitely have to keep those cards in there. Next up is a 2-1 line of Frillish and Jellicent, and this deck box also talks about Jellicent and its ability, so we'll have to take a look at that once we get to it. But Frillish here, this is a female Frillish in the pink and then a male Frillish in the blue. 70 HP for Frillish, and it only has 1 move, which requires 2 energy cards, which is disappointing, and it only does 10 damage, but it does heal 10 damage from Frillish, so it'll seem like it has even a higher HP than 70. But it is disappointing that both Carvanha and Frillish, which are basic Pokemon, cannot attack with 1 energy. You have to put 2 energy cards on them. And then Jellicent, there's only 1. It's a Team Plasma card again, that's why it's a blue border. Its ability is called Spiteful Spirit. It says if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon and is knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, the attacking Pokemon is now confused and poisoned. So this deck is definitely a defensive deck. Jellicent's a very defensive card. Druddigon's good on defense, as well as Sharpedo. 100 HP for Jellicent, a good ability, and then its only move is called Aqua Bullet, 40 damage for 2 energy cards, and does 1 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So not a bad move. Next up is that unfortunately damaged Vanillite there. You can see the crease all the way in the card. You might be able to see a little better on the back. Yeah, you can see it there. I don't know how that was bent like that. It was right in the middle of the deck too. So, there's a 2-1 line of Vanillite and Vanillish. So, this card has 60 HP, so good HP. Only 1 move called Snow Squall, which does 10 damage. So that is good to have a basic Pokemon that can attack with only 1 energy card, since Frillish and Carvanha both require 2 energy cards to attack. That way, at the beginning of the game, you can hopefully draw Vanillite in your hand and put this card out to start the game and attack right away. And then there are 2 Vanillish, so it's a 2/2 line, like I said. 80 HP, so a little lower HP, but a good move. A fairly quick move, 2 energy cards, and 30 damage. So almost all of the Pokemon in this deck so far, except for Druddigon, require only 1 or 2 energy cards to attack, which is pretty good. Next up's another Fire-type Pokemon. There's a 3/2 line of Pansear and Simisear in this deck. Pansear is a basic 70 HP Fire-type Pokemon, 2 moves, Scratch, so another basic Pokemon with 2 energy cards to attack. And then Double Fire requires 3 energy cards and only does 40 damage times the number of heads you get. So unless you're getting pretty lucky, this card's probably only going to do about 40 damage maximum. Not the greatest of basic Pokemon cards, but it can do a fair amount of damage. And then there's 2 Simisears, 90 HP Fire-type Pokemon. Its first move is called Searing Flame, which does 20 damage and burns the defending Pokemon. And then Flame Blast, which does 40 damage plus 20 more damage for each fire energy card attached to this Pokemon. So, first off, don't drop the deck like that. And secondly, definitely attach 3 fire energy cards to Simisear when you're using Flame Blast. That way, this move can do 100 damage per turn, which is very amazing, and I can definitely see why there are 2 Simisear in the deck. Because Pansear is not that great, I may remove a Pansear, so it's a 2/2 line, but right now I would say it's an okay amount for the Pokemon line. But definitely attach fire energy cards to Simisear. Next up is a 2/2 line of Justin Bieber and Litwick. 60 HP, fire, basic Pokemon, just a 1 move. Unfortunately, it does 20 damage, but if you flip a coin and get tails, this attack does nothing. But it is another basic Pokemon that can attack for only 1 energy card, so it balances it out. There's a couple of basic Pokemon that I mentioned earlier that require at least 2 energy cards to attack. It's nice that there have been a couple recently that require only 1 energy card to attack. Also, I mentioned that most of the cards in this deck require only 1 or 2 energy cards to attack. The Pansear and Simisear both require 3 energy cards, but can attack with less than 3. But if you want to use their best moves, definitely put 3 energy cards on both those. So there's 2 Litwick and then 2 Lampent. 70 HP is stage 1, so extremely low HP for a stage 1. Its ability is called Free Floating, and it says if this Pokemon has no energy cards attached to it, this Pokemon has no retreat cost. So that ability is not that great. It's helpful, but with only 1 energy card for a retreat cost anyways, you're not going to have to give up much to retreat it, but I guess you could always do good by retreating something for free instead of having to give up an energy card. You can always benefit from it. And then its only move is called Will-O-Wisp, which does 20 damage for 2 energy cards. So here's a line that I'd probably consider removing. Litwick possibly can attack at all, and then Lampent can only do 20 damage. So if you're looking to put another Simisear in here, or another Druddigon, or another Jellicent, or Sharpedo, this is where I definitely remove Pokemon, would be in the Litwick Lampent line. Next is just 2 Lotads, no Ludicolo or anything. So Lotad is a basic water type Pokemon, 60 HP, 1 move that requires 2 energy cards again. So you're going to have to set a lot of Pokemon up on your bench, or just not attack that first time they're in the active Pokemon spot. Bubble Beam does do 20 damage, and it paralyzes the defending Pokemon if you get a heads when you flip a coin. The last Pokemon in this deck is Cubchoo. There's no Beartic. So you could also think about putting some evolutions in this deck. You could put in Beartic or Ludicolo, anything like that. So, Cubchoo, or you could put in a Vanillux to finish off the Vanillish line. 70 HP for Cubchoo, which is a very good amount for a baby-looking Pokemon. It does have 2 moves. Icy Snow is not a good move, especially since Beartic's not in this deck. I would not ever attach 3 energy cards to Cubchoo. And Hail requires 1 energy card, which isn't bad. It says to flip a coin. If heads, this attack does 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. I would definitely use this. There's a couple of spread damage type cards in this deck. There's Cubchoo, and then the other card that could spread damage was... can't remember which one was that. It was Jellicent with Aqua Bullet. It does 10 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So Aqua Bullet spreads damage a little bit. Cubchoo spreads much more damage. There are 2. I'd probably remove 1 and just keep 1 Cubchoo in this deck. So that's it for the Pokemon. I'm going to move to the trainers and supporters and then the energy cards. So these energy cards are these trainer and supporter cards are almost identical to the trainers and supporters in the Plasma Shadow deck. There's Energy Search, 2 of these. There's 2 of all the trainer and supporter cards except for Hypnotoxic Laser. So Energy Search allows you to search your deck for an energy card and put it into your hand. Colress Supporter, you only use 1 supporter per turn. It allows you to shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw a number of cards equal to the number of both your and your opponent's bench Pokemon. Hypnotoxic Laser. Only 1 of these in this deck, and it says your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. Flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is also asleep. I think this is a pretty good trainer card. I'd definitely consider putting more than 1 in the deck. Next is Pokemon Communication. This is basically like going to a PC in one of the Pokemon games. You take a Pokemon card from your hand, put it on top of your deck, and then search your deck for Pokemon and put it back into your hand. 2 potions, so this is different than the Plasma Shadow deck. Potions remove 30 damage from one of your Pokemon, and since a lot of the Pokemon in this deck have lower than average HP, this is definitely a good trainer card to have in your deck. And then the last supporter card and trainer card in the deck is Team Plasma Grunt. There's 2 of these. And it says discard a Team Plasma card from your hand and then draw 4 cards. If you can't discard a Team Plasma card from your hand, you cannot draw 4 cards. And this deck has a decent amount. I'd say less than the Shadow Claw theme deck. Or the Plasma Shadow, I mean. Plasma Shadow theme deck. But it's not a bad way to get new cards in your hand. So this deck does have 9 each of water and fire energy cards. So 18 energy cards total. So overall, there's a couple of Pokemon lines in here where I'd probably finish off the evolution line and include those evolutions in this deck, like Lotad, like Vanillish, like Cubchoo. I probably remove Litwick and Lampent from this deck, and in comparison to the Shadow Storm deck, I definitely like the Shadow Storm deck better. This is a more defensive type deck where it may take longer to win the game and you may not be able to knock out as many Pokemon as quickly. That's why I prefer the Plasma Shadow, but both decks are pretty decent, and it'd be a good strategy to play both decks, see one that's more offensive minded and one's more defensive minded, and then see what style of play you prefer. So thanks everyone for watching this review. Read the video description below for complete rules to entry. Good luck to everyone who's entering this contest, and then in a few weeks I will be announcing the winner to the Plasma Claw theme deck. So thanks again everyone for watching. Check out all the links in the video description below, the contest rules, my blog, Facebook, and Twitter links, and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you.